Once you hit max level in Throne and Liberty, you will begin your path towards endgame. So you may be wondering what this endgame loop is, what certain activities you will be doing, and how much time it's expected to take. How many hours per day do you need to play this game in order to keep up? Even if you're a more seasoned player, there can be some very interesting notes here. You may have forgotten some of these activities and missing out on the rewards, or you may be wondering, how many hours per day are you expected to play if you want to do everything? Well, I've broken it down pretty simple here, and I'll go through each of those activities one by one. First of all, we start with the bare minimum. On average, you should only need to spend about 1 hour per day. This includes your resistance contracts. So up here, you're going to have these contract rights when you expand it, and you get 10 every day. You can take the more time consuming path and to do these little tasks that require you to go out in the world, collect items, kill enemies, and you can get some useful stuff. However, it can be quite time consuming, and so in most cases, I recommend doing the cooking contracts. These give you near enough the same amount of rewards, but you will of course need to have this food on hand to be able to complete the quest, getting those rewards. I recommend having like 5 different foods. Some of them are really easy to craft, like fried egg, fish pottage, forest goulash, vegetable stir fry, tran apple tart, and crab meat. Those are the different ones I use currently for my cooking contracts, and you get them done really quickly, about 15 minutes every week. You can do 60 all in one go, and so over the course of 7 days, you'll have 70 done. The main reward are these contract coins, which are very important for this store. Next is Amitoi Expeditions. Just a little passive thing on the side. You will need to do the codex to access this area, and you will send your Amitois out on expeditions. You can check what the rewards of the expedition are. For example, I go with the Black Anvil Forge because I want salt for cooking. So we select these Amitois, and I always do it for 8 hours. If you do it for a lower time, it can be more efficient, but the main reward is going to be these Abyssal Contract tokens, other than some food items and some lucky drops. So it's just a passive thing you do, super easy, probably only take you 5 minutes over the course of an entire week, popping in, claiming the rewards and setting them out on the next expedition. Maximum you could do is 21 times for 8 hours. From here, you want to do your co-op dungeons. So you will just need to do 1 4-star co-op dungeon, spending these dimensional contract tokens, and you should be able to open the chest twice. As every day, you will recharge 1,800 of those points. You can of course accumulate them and do them all at one go. Right now, you would ideally do the dimensional trial for the 4-star dungeon here, getting the bonus runes when you complete it. It's broken, you can do it through the party board, but it shouldn't take you more than an hour to complete those. And then you'll want to do 7 2-star co-op dungeons. These are to use up the dimensional contract token ones. You get 900 per day. Again, you can save up a certain amount and then do a bunch of the dungeons in one go, and you will open the chest twice. So you just need to do it once. Again, you ideally do it through the random matchmaking to get the bonus reward, and those dungeons shouldn't take you much more than 5 minutes each. The main reward from co-op dungeons is going to be gear drops, loyalty coins, items to craft buff food, and very importantly, the Abyss contract token points. Then we have this Abyss token burn. So this is when you're going to use those Abyss tokens. Normally, once you hit 40,000, you need to go out there to one of these Abyss dungeons, like Temple of Truth, Birkened Estate, or Crimson Mansion, right now with the Talandre expansion. You will kill all the enemies here, you will get drops, and these rewards are very, very valuable. You also want to optimize your Solent gains and weapon mastery gain when doing this token burn by having like event food to give you those boosts, or as standard the golden apple pie or apricot pie. Combine that with always the battle pass Abundance Fruit, and Mastery Report. A ton of value, and you'll probably spend about 60 minutes tops spending 40,000 points. And so you will do that twice. I will quickly mention right here DaVinci's favor. You can purchase it and it gives you some extra quality of life. For example, opening an additional chest in co-op dungeons, allowing you to save up your points to 80,000 Abyss tokens, and completing your resistance contracts much faster. That's just to name a few benefits. So you can technically get these activities done a bit faster with that. Now, I would highly recommend you do the normal raid. These have been newly introduced, although I guess it's been 2 months now. But it's a slow grind. You will just do this once every week on normal difficulty, spending that token per boss, getting the rewards. It's very important you do this at least on normal to get these items, and you will also get more abyssal contract tokens. You will need the 5,000 combat power. I would recommend upwards of 6,000, and I suggest joining through the party board rather than this random matchmaking. But it should take you no more than an hour with a decent group to beat the raid. Maybe you get unlucky, the group struggles, and you take 2 hours. Just stick with the group and you will beat it. The more times you fail, the easier it will be to beat it again because you'll get a buff that stacks up to 10 times. Then you will want to purchase items from your merchant. I have this 7 times because some merchants you want to visit every single day. At the contract coin merchant, you always want to purchase the extract stones every week along with the enchanted ink. Additionally, you can purchase the mystic keys, open them. That's an extra activity which I don't have listed. It's an optional thing. The rewards can be somewhat useful and you will get even more abyss contract tokens from that. Go to your sundries merchant. Every week purchase these contract scrolls, which you can do while doing your abyss token burn depending on what dungeon you're in. Get Taedals Tower, and every day you buy this food. Go to your guild merchant. Ideally you would have joined a guild, and every day purchase these materials along with every week the conversion stones. Every week you want to visit the resistance goods merchant and you want to buy these ores along with potentially these materials, polished crystals. Be sure to of course purchase out these limited items. They're just a one-time gain. And you will complete your exploration codex, which will give you the majority of these resistance medals. But that's a one-time thing. You'll also want to visit your Nebula merchant if you're doing that to purchase the items here too. And be aware of certain events, and you will have event merchants, which you will want to purchase items from. That shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes within a week, once you know where those merchants are and just can return back quickly. As part of a guild, you will also want to do guild bosses. You can see that here in the main display of the guild, you have the guild raids, and you can do 7 per week. You're going to have to coordinate with your guild when you're doing them. Sometimes you have the event with some extra archbosses. It'll take a bit longer, but these guys shouldn't take you more than like 3 to 5 minutes to beat. And the rewards can be worth it just to help your guild improve. Then you want to do 3 of the solo dungeons. Yes, ideally you would do them on nightmare difficulty, but if that takes too much time for you and you end up just not doing it, by all means do it on just standard difficult. It's still worth it with all the runes and the loyalty coins, and it's much easier. You also want to do Gate of Infinity. Every week there's 2 different ones, again in the secret dungeons tab here. Just get these done for the basic achievement rewards. And you also of course want to do Taedals Tower. That's just here. Basically you're going to get those scrolls, 3 of them per week from the sundries merchant, and you will just use them. And that's it. That's the bare minimum and the amount of minutes it would take you. You add up the total of those minutes, that ends up about 7.2 hours, and divide that by 7 days, and it's about 1 hour per day on average. This is doing the bare minimum. And you should be able to keep up with everybody by doing this. You may not have the best gear, particularly because you're missing Nebula, and you may not get the best loot in terms of like lucent rewards, solent rewards that you could get through tax delivery, siege, and things like that. So if we now do look at the rest of the activities, you can see what you can do here. But it considerably increases the amount of time that you have to play per day. You're looking at Peace Field Boss portals. These I highly recommend you do, especially when a new update drops, where we get tier 3 gear from those field bosses. Every day you can attend 5 of these field boss events, and you can just go to the peace portals and get rewarded. You will get resistance medals from those, which again you'll spend at the resistance merchant. Included in this is Archbosses. You can see them here in the daily section, and we get 4 of them now every week. You will do them instead of a regular field boss. And if you were to prioritize any, it would absolutely be these, even though it's a tiny chance that you would get the top tier reward. You can do 15 dynamic events per week. You can see the currency just up here, region contribution certificates, and going to these dynamic events, you will get certain rewards. You can look through them based on what rewards they give, and yes, you will get significantly more rewards based on if you have these certificates or not. So just do 15, get like guild items, ores, crystals, but it can be quite time consuming as these take about 20 minutes each. Then you can do arena. You want to get 10 victories. So with a win rate of 50%, 10 minutes each, yes, that's going to take like 200 minutes, but you're going to get these arena coins. Be aware this system is going to change with the tier 3 update September the 18th, as we will get a new arena coin, but right now you spend them to get like obsidian pieces, loyalty coins, and potentially even runes. This gear at this point is outdated. Then you can go to Nebula. Maximum you can spend is 5 hours, 300 minutes. You select here the Lawless Wilds. You will go there, you can spend time in the PvP area killing mobs, and you will get drops that give you these Nebula stones, potentially some gear. You can go to the PvE area, but the rewards are so poor. And as we mentioned, you will spend those stones to get rewards at the Nebula Merchant. You can do the raid on hard mode and also on nightmare mode. I don't really know how much time you're going to take on these. Hard, we can easily be within like an hour, but maybe your group is kind of new or you don't have much damage. Maybe take 2 hours. Nightmare mode, really not many people can beat it. You can go nighttime chest hunting. So whenever it's nighttime, you will see the time just up here. It's going to be 48 minutes before the next nighttime. You can go to these Abyss dungeons, Talandre area, Stoneguard, Lastland. These open world dungeons are going to have nighttime chests that will spawn. I believe it is still a limited area, like in Crimson Mansion, Cerodoma Island, and the Shadowed Crypt. And you obtain those chests and they can give you all sorts of different rewards like Solent, but more importantly, more of these dimensional contract tokens, allowing you to run more co-op dungeons to get more of those rewards. But it's entirely up to you how much time you want to spend doing that. Generally be doing PvP, because in the nighttime those dungeons are PvP areas. You can do GVG field bosses. You can do it twice per day. You check your calendar here and it's an additional slot that's 30 minutes after the peace portals. You can go to the open world Archbosses. You can select daily here, and these ones are where you can join your guild and you pretty much just fight everybody in the open world for contesting getting contribution on the boss. Whichever guild has the highest contribution has the most likely chance to get drops. You can go to Boonstones and Riftstones. I believe these happens 4 times per week, twice Boonstone, twice Riftstone, and the ones on Friday and Saturday actually allow you to do Interserver. These give your guild some benefits. My guild's currently not PvP active, so we don't, but they generally take like 20 to 30 minutes depending on prep time as well. And if you do win on Friday, Saturday, you can do Interserver, which is another 30-minute event abouts, which you're contesting other guilds, and you can take away quite a bit of Lucent. Then there's Tax Delivery, Castle Siege, Interserver Castle Siege that happen every 2 weeks. These activities take double this amount of time. I just have them halved because we're just looking at this for 1 week, so it's like an hour for Castle Siege. But again, you need to have a pretty hardcore guild to compete well in these events, but the reward is going to be quite a bit of Lucent, depending on your success. But that's ultimately everything. Like if you do every single thing possible in this game, pretty much except for like extra gathering, you can spend over 5.5 hours doing all these activities. Way more if you're doing like Nightmare and Raid, Nighttime Chest Haunting. So there are plenty of things to do in this game. It's just whether or not you enjoy doing them or not. If you get a bit burnt out, I would still recommend doing the bare minimum of this here. And again, if that's just not something you're going to enjoy, then maybe this just isn't the game for you. And that's just how it is. All of this is open to change. We get new content, we get new activities, new things to do. These things can end up taking much quicker time because, for example, opening multiple chests in dungeons, allowing you to just do one completion, power creeping the content, allowing you to beat it much quicker, things like that. Something that I didn't add to the list was dimensional trials. These simply allow you to earn bonus runes. So it is just kind of an optional thing if you want to speed level runes. On a last note, I just want to make a point about time gates. This game, as you may have seen, is very reliant on them. It restricts how much you can do every day to balance those rewards. It also means you don't have to go out there farming a mob 1,000 times just to try and get a drop like you'd get in other games. Similarly, you don't have to infinitely farm the same dungeon 1,000 times to get a good drop in it. It's designed so you can only get the rewards from the dungeon like twice per day, and thus they can balance the drops around that. The unfortunate side effect of all this time gating is that newer players don't really have a chance for catching up, because as long as everybody does the minimum every single day, which is relatively easy, like an hour, then those players will continually progress until they max out. And if there's a new update that drops just as everybody maxes out, then any newer player joining does not have a hope of catching up. They can't invest like a lot more hours than the current player base infinitely farming gear to get a lot of extra drops like you may find in other games. So ultimately, all that time gating is really beneficial for the casual player who doesn't have a lot of time to play the game. But the side effect, it's really bad for hardcore newer players who want to invest a ton of time to try and catch up. That's just impossible because of those time gate restrictions. Therefore, the game has systems like Hyper Boost, which they will now be introducing, which will allow a bit better to catch up. But nonetheless, the game's always going to be like this. You ideally want to be playing from the beginning of an update and continually play every week to keep up. Again, if the devs got rid of the time gates all of a sudden, allowed you to infinitely farm dungeons, this would break the game economy completely. Traits would be worth absolutely nothing, hardcore players could max out within a matter of days, and there would be a massive difference between a casual player with limited time and a hardcore player who can literally play all day every day. And that would make PvP an even worse experience. On top of the fact, the auction house would completely fall apart, everything would be worth nothing because most people wouldn't need to buy anything since they could just farm these over and over, so nobody would pay anything for them, and everything would just be worth the minimum price of 10 Lucent, which would be really bad for free-to-play players as they could never get enough Lucent to say buy battle passes and other things in the shop. So with the way the game is designed, this time gating significantly reduces the amount of time you have to play the game to keep up with everybody, but again, does not really allow newer players who are joining later on to actually catch up. So overall, I hope this helps. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around.